The Virginia Cable Telecommunications Association and your local cable provider presents Cable Reports. Join us now as Cable Reports brings you up to date on current issues facing the Commonwealth through discussions with your local legislators and other policymakers from across Virginia.
From the General Assembly and the City of Richmond, I'm Woody Evans for Cable Reports, brought to you by the Virginia Cable Telecommunications Association and Comcast, connecting Virginians to their government. We're pleased to have two members of the General Assembly. Senator John Edwards, good to see you, sir.
Woody, great to be here. Thank you.
Delegate Nick Rush, good to see you again.
Thank you, Woody. Appreciate it.
Well, it's fast and furious. We've got a short 45 days to complete the business of the people here, but tell us what's going on in your district.
Well, Woody, I'm blessed to represent parts of Montgomery and Pulaski County and all of Floyd County. We've had a real good year economic development-wise. We're working to diversify our economy. We actually were one of the top 5 areas in the country in economic development over the last couple of years, and we're continuing to work on those issues, and it's been a focus of John and I. John and I have luckily been able to go to a couple ribbon cuttings for startup companies and for companies deciding to locate in the New River Valley. So we're going to continue those efforts. Obviously, going down here doing the people's business. I'm glad it's a short session, so I can get back to district a couple weeks earlier than normal. But we're having a good session so far.
Great, and Senator, it's good that your district is not as dependent upon the federal government as some of the state of Virginia is.
That's true. So much of the state, Northern Virginia, the Hampton Roads area in particular, heavily dependent upon the federal government and the military spending. And of course, sequestration has hurt us dramatically. If Congress could get their act together and get rid of this silly sequestration thing that nobody really likes. But
and those are the across-the-board cuts,
That's
right?
the across-the-board cuts at the federal level. So, but it has a ripple effect also in our area. Our representatives, Giles County, Montgomery, where Nick and I overlap, and also the Roanoke Valley, Roanoke City, and part of Roanoke County. So it's a great district, and I've thought for many years that the Roanoke Valley and the New River Valley really have a common destiny. In fact, the airport in Roanoke has recently changed its name. It's now the Roanoke Blacksburg Regional Airport.
Okay.
Because Blacksburg, Montgomery County is, of course, very involved in using the airport. It's a large number of the passengers come from the New River Valley. And of course, I'm also working to bring Amtrak to Roanoke. It's going to come in a couple of years. It's on track. Pardon the pun. And as soon as it comes to Roanoke, we're working on getting it into the New River Valley. In fact, we're already doing studies as to where the station should be in the New River Valley. The old station in Cambria, out in Christiansburg, that's been shut down for many years. We're looking at that, or maybe Radford. So we'll see what happens there. So we're seriously looking in a few short years, once it comes to Roanoke, to extend Amtrak to the New River Valley. So that'll be a tremendous benefit. You'll be able to get on a train, say in Cambria or Roanoke or wherever, and go all the way to Boston. How many places can you get on a train and 14 hours later you're in Boston and everything else along the way? So bringing Amtrak is a huge thing that I'm working on. I think it's coming. It's definitely coming.
Well, and John and I were at a meeting earlier, and John and his wife went to Boston on Amtrak.
We did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we did.
And my wife Jennifer and I went to, and my little girl Lily went to New York City on Amtrak, and we both got on in Lynchburg, and it was a pleasant experience.
Very pleasant experience, and get from Lynchburg in an hour you're in Charlottesville, another about 11:20 in the morning you're in Washington, and then you're in Philadelphia and New York by 3:20 in the afternoon. And then about 8 o'clock you're in Boston. So it's just a tremendous opportunity to hook up our region to the Northeastern Corridor.
Absolutely. Now, to what extent does Virginia Tech play a role in terms of economic activity in your district?
Virginia Tech is obviously the largest economic driver in the New River Valley, and in some instances the Roanoke area too. My wife is employed at Virginia Tech. My 2 sons just graduated from Virginia Tech Corps Cadets within the last 4 years and serve as Army officers. And so it's very, very important, whether it be football games where they bring in a lot of visitors, or just the students themselves and the economic activity that goes along with it. We're blessed. When I was on the board of supervisors, I used to say, let's not take all the credit for the great unemployment rate. They made a decision in 1872 that's helped Montgomery County, and it's a very important economic driver. And we work closely with Virginia Tech, to make sure that the state's is not impeding their growth and their academic achievement, and we continue to do that.
Isn't there a medical college there now as well?
Well, yes, in Roanoke, the Virginia Tech Carilion School of Medicine. They graduated their first class last year. Their second class will be graduating in May, 42 students per class. That's going to be a tremendous benefit. And the quality of the applicants is unbelievable. These students at the Virginia Tech Carilion School of Medicine could have gone anywhere. And they're trying to bring in people who will stay in the western part of Virginia if they can. And so we're very excited. It's located in Roanoke, but it's part of Virginia Tech and Carilion Hospital's program. So it's we're very excited. And in addition to the School of Medicine, there's the Virginia Tech Carilion Research Institute. They brought in this man who's a top research scientist on the brain. The guy named Michael Friedlander from Houston. He's brought in about 170 research scientists that are living in the Roanoke region. And they're doing some remarkable, very important nationwide studies of the brain and how it works. Of course, concussions, that's part of what they're looking at. But they're finding all different kinds of things about, about the brain, the maturity of the brain. The judgment faculties, for example, don't really mature in the upper frontal lobe until you're 22, 24, something like that. But what they're finding out in this research, nationally ranked research in Roanoke as part of this Virginia Tech Carilion Research Institute, is just truly remarkable. We're very fortunate.
The other remarkable thing, you talk about attracting top-rate students, but they're from all over the country and all over the world.
Oh, yeah, we have Virginia Tech, and I don't want to leave out Radford. Radford University does a great job. We're blessed. You talked about the district, or allowed me to expand a little on the district. Sure. What John and I know to be a fact is we have Carilion and HCA. We're a suburban rural area, but we have the advantages, so many advantages that big urban markets have. We have competing healthcare systems, so John knows if Carilion hires a heart surgeon, HCA tries to go out and get one better, so it's better for our constituents.
Sure.
They're constantly competing against each other, and then you have great educational opportunities, great public schools, but then you also have our public universities, New River Community College, Radford University, where my mother went, and then I mentioned Virginia Tech. So we have a diverse economy. We're not dependent on any one sector. We have education, manufacturing, and a lot of service industries. And being such in close proximity to Virginia Tech and Radford universities, we also have a lot of startups. The Virginia Tech Corporate Research Center. When I came back from the Army, I was lucky enough to be hired by FedEx as a FedEx driver. And when I would deliver to the Virginia Tech Corporate Research Center, there were 2 or 3 buildings. Now it's acres and acres of buildings with startup companies, maturing companies with several thousand employees and good salaries and good spin-offs. And so we in the New River Valley and Roanoke Valley have been blessed with those things.
And John, of course, when you finished your commitment to the military, you decided to go to law school. You became a prosecutor. You were the U.S. attorney. So you're well versed in one of the issues that's confronting our universities now, and that's sexual assaults on campuses.
Oh, that's a serious problem. It really is. The story about what happened at UVA, of course, is most of the facts have turned out not to be true, but nevertheless, it's a serious problem, and we need to take it seriously, and we're looking at it very, very seriously. But getting back to the importance of Virginia Tech, you cannot overestimate the importance of Virginia Tech in our region, not only because it's 31,000 plus students, athletics, of course, and all that. But as Nick said, the Corporate Research Center has been remarkable. We've doubled the size. I had a bill a few years ago to double the size of the Corporate Research Center. The innovation that's going on at Tech in the research and turning the research into practical application and commercial uses is truly remarkable. And innovation is, if you study economic history, innovation is where the growth comes from. And that's what Virginia Tech is doing. It's one of the top research universities in the country. And so we're very, very proud of that. One example, of course, is the Virginia Tech Correllian School of Medicine, which is combining the research dollars that Tech can bring down with the doctors and the patients that they have at Correllian. But also this research institute that we talked about a few minutes ago. That's kind of a spinoff on the whole concept of taking innovative ideas and doing research and then coming up with modern applications and important applications. And that also ties into another part of our very diverse economy in our district. Not just the importance of Virginia Tech and how large it is and how important it is to our economy, but the whole thing with hospitals. Two major hospital systems, Correllian and HCA, both in the New River Valley. Giles County has a Correllian hospital. Montgomery County, Pulaski, and Pulaski, Montgomery has HCA, and there's a Correllian up in Radford as well. So the influence of healthcare in our economy as well as in our lives is enormous today. Healthcare sector is the largest growing sector of our economy. It's huge. And in fact, the students who graduate, for example, in a healthcare field like the Jefferson College of Health Science in Roanoke, the graduates, bachelor's degrees, are making more money on graduation than graduates of, say, Virginia Tech, Radford, University of Virginia, and other places, with bachelor's degrees, by a factor of maybe $20,000 more upon graduation. That shows you how in demand it is to provide jobs. The jobs are in great demand for students who are graduating in the healthcare fields, not just MDs and the course of VCOM and Virginia Tech on the campus there, but also nurses, whole technicians, radiological technicians, and so forth and so on. There's so many different fields of medicine today, and so when I talk to young people, I have a niece who's thinking about going, transferring from Virginia Western to Radford or someplace like that, and she's interested in healthcare, and I encourage her, do go into the field of healthcare because that's where the opportunities are in the future in many cases.
But just to continue along those same lines, I know that there's a proposal that you're pursuing dealing with expansion of Medicaid for those who with mental health issues.
That's right. You know, we didn't expand Medicaid in the budget last year, as I think we should have, and as the governor's been pushing for. So what the governor did is come up with we call it the GAP program, a Governor's Access Plan, to cover up to 20,000 people with severe mental illness using the existing waiver programs in the Medicaid system. There are about 54,000 people in Virginia who have severe mental illness and have no insurance. There are over 300,000 people estimated in Virginia. They have a severe mental illness. That's a pretty good percentage. But when over 50,000 don't have any kind of insurance, the governor stepped up and said, using existing Medicaid waiver programs, he can expand it to cover 20,000 people. These people with severe mental illness, they also face other medical problems typically, and they don't live as long. The studies show that people in this category, especially without any health insurance, they live 25 years shorter lifespan than other people in our society on average. So I'm proud of the fact the governor's really stepped up to the plate. We need to continue that program. We ultimately need to expand Medicaid. I'm very supportive of that. If we could bring down $2 billion of federal monies that we already have sent to Washington, this is our money, bring them back to Virginia, cover up to 400,000 citizens who live under the federal poverty level, and they don't qualify for the subsidies under the Affordable Care Act for health insurance, private health insurance, and because of the way the system was designed. If we can't cover them with Medicaid, then they have, as a practical matter, no insurance at all. We're treating these people as second-class citizens, and what we need to do is, of course, bring down the federal dollars, cover up to 400,000 Virginians with Medicaid, and also create 30,000 new jobs. And the other part of that is when you bring down $2 billion in federal dollars, what happens? It generates throughout the economy. It multiplies throughout the economy. You're paying hospitals that need the money. You're paying doctors and so forth. What happens is you can create additional revenues to the Commonwealth. The governor estimates $105 million of new revenues to the Commonwealth that can be used for education and all the other things we need. And also, you're not having to turn over to the hospitals up to a couple of hundred or so millions of dollars in the budget to help with the hospitals because of indigent care that's not being covered by anything. I mean, you talk to all the hospital administrators, they'll tell you they need the dollars. So I'm strongly in favor of what the governor's been trying to do, what we hopefully we will get done, which is to access the $2 billion that's our money in Washington that could be brought back to expand Medicaid to cover those people that are not now being covered by anything. And I think it's both an economic necessity and a humanitarian necessity. I really do. And I think it's going to happen, but right now the governor's trying to fill the gap with this GAP program, Governor's Access Plan, at least to help the severely mentally ill.
Great. I'll let you comment on that, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I haven't seen the governor's bill. It hasn't got to the full House yet, and I don't serve on that committee. But, you know, since I've been down here, this is my fourth session. The House and the Senate and the governor has always tried to increase the waiver program.
Right.
It's an underserved segment of our society. These are mentally ill folks or are mentally challenged, and there's a long waiting list. So we've been working on that in the House and the Senate too. So I'm fully supportive of that. I couldn't comment on the governor's budget.
Right.
But we've been supportive of that. We would look at stuff how to help the truly needy in our society, and that's what the House has been positioned as being. We, Medicaid is the fastest growing part of the state budget, and so I'm reluctant to expand to working age, non-disabled, childless adults, because we had access $2 billion, but in a couple of years we'll have to pay $200 million for that. And my concern is that money comes from K through 12, higher education, and public safety. John, I've spoken about this in front of many groups, and he's a passionate advocate. I hope he would say the same about myself. But I know we both care about people. It's and we're just trying to prioritize the dollars, and so that's where we stand on that.
Yeah, Nick and I are good friends. We work together on so many things. We disagree on this. It's a party line issue. The Democrats want to bring back the dollars that we have already sent to Washington, and let's use them for Virginia and for Virginians who do not have any health care coverage at all. And as I say, create more jobs, bring in more revenues to the Commonwealth, and grow the economy. In fact, it's estimated the budget of Virginia will save over $1 billion over 10 years by bringing down the federal dollars, and as well as creating billions of dollars in the economy because of the ripple effect of bringing dollars and the multiplying effect of creating new jobs and so forth. So we disagree on this on a sincere basis. I appreciate his position. I understand his position, but this is something we've been talking about a lot for the last year.
Yeah, John and I, we actually spend a lot of time together in forums without cameras, but there's a lot of people usually at them, and we're both passionate about it. And I feel like that I don't want to shortchange our public education and our higher education and our public safety. And those folks have gone so many years without an increase in dollars. I think K through 12 spending's actually adjusted for inflation is 2009.
Right.
And if you just look at how fast Medicaid has grown, it's grown from 5% of the budget to 22% of the budget in about 30 years. At that same time, higher education has gone from 20% of the budget to 10% of the budget. So there's things that we're going to agree on. This is probably one of the ones that we disagree.
Well, talking about tuition, the cost of tuition has gone up so much more than the cost of living and other things, and we need to get a handle on this. I know it's a big impediment to student opportunities and ambitions for when tuition keeps going up. I had a bill in, it unfortunately didn't pass, but it's called Pay Forward, Pay Back. It's a program out of, I think it's Oregon, another state that's done it. The idea is to give students the opportunity to pay back their tuition out of a certain portion of their income when they graduate over time, so that it gives them the opportunity to go to school now, pay it back later, and but it's something that it didn't quite pass this year, but I'm going to continue to look for other ways to make tuition more affordable. One of the big problems is Virginia, unlike, say, North Carolina, does not provide on a per capita basis as much to higher education as some of our surrounding states, in particular North Carolina, that provides much more on a per capita basis to higher education, and therefore the tuition is a lot lower. We don't do that in Virginia. I don't know what the solution is in the short term, but we need to be focusing on making college more affordable to more people.
Good segue,
Well,
'cause I think Nick has a bill in.
John, thanks for the segue.
Yeah.
Right.
So, that's the word I was going to use. You know, what I proposed, and luckily we got it out of subcommittee this week, is what we call the flat fee degree. And what it allows, it's permissive. It allows our diverse university system to enter into a contract with a student in a high demand field. We started talking about in the medical field.
STEM H fields.
Yeah, we got the STEM H fields, nursing. You know, Virginia has thousands of teachers that are going to retire over the next 10 years. We need to train our next generation of teachers. And what we're concerned about is teachers coming out, nurses coming out with debt higher than their starting salaries.
Right.
So what my bill would do is allow the university to come enter into a flat fee degree. The student will agree to certain terms, the university agrees to certain terms, and the state gives them, the university, a little incentive to sign folks up for this program. And so the student actually, so much of our costs in higher education is when students take 5, 6 years to graduate. Right. So in our program, a flat fee degree, you're going to commit to finishing in 4 years. So it's for mature students, not age but level, and so they know what they want to do. They don't care about the football games or the basketball games. Right. They're not worried about those things. They want to get in, get their degree, and go practice their chosen profession. It's only for high demand fields. So I'm very excited about it. The caucus, and I've gotten a lot of bipartisan support. And the caucus has made it one of the positions that they're supporting. I've had good things said about it by the speaker and those things. And the thing about it, some other states have done it, and it's where the legislators and the governor has said an artificially low price. That's not what we've done, because then all the other students pay extra due to those. What we want to do is try to drive some of the cost out with the student committing to 4 years, taking a little, not getting some of the perks of the things. And even one thing that we thought about is online courses during the fall and the spring, and then rating or accrediting agencies require some residency. You do those residencies in the summer when the buildings are lower use. So actually, it'll save us capital costs later on as a state with less new buildings, less new dorms, and those things associated with.
Well, one of the things we did several years ago, and I'm sure Nick supported this too, was the CCAP program, the Community College Access Program. You go to the community college first, which is less expensive for the student and for the Commonwealth. And when you go to the 3rd and 4th year of college, assuming you take certain courses and get in and so forth, go to Virginia Tech or Radford or one of the other senior universities, your tuition is lower. And we got the numbers, the amount of contribution to students higher. It's like a scholarship. Like up until last year, about $1,000 per semester, I believe. Now it's about $2,000. So it's a really good program. $2,000, I think maybe per year. $5,000 a year, and then up to $2,000 a year. So we're making progress, encouraging students to go to the community college first, then the 4-year schools. And I've talked to the brand new president of Virginia Tech, who's terrific, Timothy Sands, about this program. And he says the students who transfer from the community college to Virginia Tech are doing quite well. It's been a very successful program.
Great. Now, you're both veterans, and by the way, thank you for your service. What are we doing for veterans in terms of education? I know all these things probably help them, but is there anything in particular, any programs for returning veterans to get either certificated or to obtain their college degrees?
Well, the state offers multiple programs, and every university and community college has a veterans coordinator. So we're as a society, we're very, we know veterans are very important, and I utilized those benefits when I got out of the Army, and and I think Senator Webb, former senator from Virginia, was one of the major architects of the new GI Bill, which has been very. It's better than the old GI Bill that I had, but
very good program.
It's a very good program, and those men and women deserve all that. We actually, John and I, in our region, we have the VA Center, we have a Veterans Care Center, and I'm supporting the actual adding 2 new veteran care centers to the state. One, they're not in my region, but obviously we support veterans as a Commonwealth, but also alleviate some of the, give us more bed space in Southwest Virginia so that veterans can stay home and get the care that they need. So I think that'll happen. It's in the budget now, and I'm sure the governor will support it.
Every year since the early 2000s, we've continued to improve services for our veterans. I carried the bill to create the Department of Veteran Services, which has been very successful, and expanding services. We have the new cemetery in Dublin, the first Veterans Cemetery in Western Virginia, and of course we have the Veterans Care Center in Roanoke and one down in south of Richmond at the McGuire VA Hospital area. And also this year we're working to, first of all, we have the Veterans V3 program, Virginia Values Veterans, encouraging employers to hire veterans because they have skills people don't realize. You serve time in the military, you develop skills, and people don't really appreciate that. We're also encouraging the colleges and universities to give veterans some extra credit for some of the work they've done as veterans when they go back to community college. I talked to a young man the other day. He's at a community college. He served several years, I believe, in the Air Force. And he's got skills that can be translated into being given credit for some of the courses. So we're trying to encourage and protect our veterans and give them the skills they need for the civilian jobs, and give them educational opportunities, and give them job opportunities.
Right.
Well, I'm lucky enough to serve as a subcommittee chairman on general laws, and in my subcommittee we're actually hearing all the veterans bills today. V3 program, some economic incentives for people to hire. When we did the V3 program, what we found is that the major employers, the large employers, people with HR department, they were able to go out and find veterans because they had the professional expertise to go out and recruit. Where we were lacking was in the small business, and we all know the majority of jobs are from small businesses. So we're going to do a little tweaking to the program and see if we can't get small businesses some help to go out and find veterans.
Right. Greg, we're going to have to leave it there. They tell me we're just about out of time.
Well, that was quick.
So glad to
been fun.
see you, Delegate Nick Rush and Senator John Edwards.
Thank you, Woody.
Thank you both
Woody.
for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Cable Reports, brought to you by the Virginia Cable Telecommunications Association and Comcast, connecting Virginians to their government. Until next time, I'm Woody Evans.
Mm-hmm.